Okay, you guys, welcome back. In this video, we're talking about generative fill in Photoshop. Generative fill is one of the new AI features Photoshop introduced a year or so back, and it's pretty fantastic. It allows you to change really anything in your shot. We could make selections and change out my hat. Maybe we want a different hat or a different color hat. Maybe I want a different shirt altogether. Maybe I want this camera to be something else. It's pretty endless what you can do. It's using AI. Um, and really, it's just as however far your creativity can take things. But of course, it's what's necessary. What do you need for the shot? If this is for a client, um, you're not going to just do this for the sake of doing it. There's obviously going to be a reason that this is going to be needed. Um, but let's just have some fun, and I'll show you some simple tricks for using this thing. So the way that this works is we have to select what we're gonna use. So the way this works is we have to make a selection. So let's just make a choice here. For starters, let's swap out my hat for sake of argument, okay? So I'm going to go to the left here, and I'm going to choose this guy, the Lasso Tool, okay? Now, I would click on it just to verify. You have other things here, but the Lasso Tool here is the one that you want. And what that does is that lets you manually draw a selection, okay? So I'm going to just draw around the hat and around here. We'll just do a nice selection like that, okay? One thing to note when you do this stuff is it's actually better to give it some room around the edges because Photoshop wants to understand the information around the hat too. So if you have some skin there, that's going to be helpful. Showing what the wall is for Photoshop is helpful. So you don't actually want to try to do just the hat. It is helpful to give it more information so it understands what's surrounding the hat so it can make a better swap. Okay. But so now once you've made your selection like that, if we hit generative fill over here, now you get this little box. So we can type in what we want it to do. As a rule, with this type of AI prompting type stuff, the more detail, the better. There is kind of an art form to prompting with AI. But in this example, I think going simple could work. We could just say, for example, red hat. And let's just see. I'm going to hit generate, and let's just see what it does. And I'm hoping that it'll give me just the same hat, but in red. But let's see. We'll hit generate. We're going to let it run. And let's see if the AI impresses us or if it's a fail. I'm feeling positive. Okay. Move this guy. That's not the greatest. But one thing to note is when you do this stuff, if you go over here to the right and you scroll down, it gives you 3 options. It always spits out 3 options so you can see which the best one is. Okay. So far, all 3 don't look overly realistic. Well, I guess this does. I don't love the angle of it. This one is phony looking to me. This one looks the best. I don't know what's going on here with my eyebrows now. What did that do? It threw an eyebrow over there. So, I mean, we could Photoshop that out after. The hat does look a little bit fake. So let's regenerate. You can do this stuff over and over again. So if we hit generate again, let's see if it gives me 3 better options. Okay, not bad. Let's see the other 2. Meh. Okay, that's probably my favorite so far. And if anything weird, if any weird AI things happened over here, I would actually Photoshop those out later, and I'll teach you about that in another video, how to deal with stuff like that. That's not bad. So just as an example, at least now you know how this works. So if we were to do one more, let's do my shirt. Let's make a selection. This one you do have to be careful. We don't want it to swap out my neck or anything like that. So when we make our selection, we want to make sure we're just telling it the shirt. So we're going to do that. We're going to try to go around the hands, but you can give it some skin so that it can understand the information around it. That's fine. Go around the camera like that. and like that. We're just doing our best to make the selection, and it's okay if it shows some of the stuff around it. Like I said, Photoshop likes seeing that information. And then we're gonna come up around here and we'll go down here where the hood is. And that takes care of most of the hoodie. Okay, so let's hit Generative Fill. And now let's go, for example, leather jacket. And let's see what happens here. Okay, let's see here. So we've got 3 options. Let's move this box out of the way. Not bad. This is great. I'm looking fair. I'm looking a little Limp Biscuity here with the red hat. Now you got to be careful. AI is still hit and miss with fingers and hands too. So I am checking out over here, like, because I noticed the second one. Now I got some AI fingers happening. I don't know what's going on over there. So definitely be careful with this stuff and really zoom in and analyze everything, because sometimes you overlook it and like weird AI stuff starts to happen. So this second one is not so good. This first one, decent. I kind of like this one with the white t-shirt. That's not bad. Here's our before. If we get rid of all of these and hide it, here's our before. And here's Limp Biscuit me. So, I mean, whether we would actually want to use it like this is questionable. But the idea is that you understand how generative AI, or generative fill works in Photoshop, how easy it is, how fun it is to use. And then, use discretion and whatnot. This is actually pretty hilarious, I would say. And I'll probably export this and show this to my kids. Super funny, but yeah, you can use it and it's super helpful. So what we'll do next then, now that you've seen these 2 examples, is I'm going to show you something that might be a little more practical, okay? So I think I'm just going to delete these layers. Let's start fresh here. Now, something I might want to do is maybe this slat on the wall here is annoying me. Maybe this is in the way. So another good reason to use generative fill is it can just be used to remove things from your photos, okay? So something like this, I could just, as long as I have my Lasso Tool still enabled, I could just outline this guy. And remember, I want to show other stuff around it too, so it can understand what's around that and make the proper choices. So I'm going to do that. And now I do have 2 choices here. I could hit remove or I could hit generative fill. Remove is their AI remove tool, which is super, super good too. And sometimes I do both, and I like to see which does a better job. So first I'm going to start with, let's hit remove, actually. Let's see if remove works. And let's just let it run. I'm curious what does a better job. Not bad. I notice here though the grain isn't there, so you can kind of tell. And remove only gives you 1 example at a time. So I'm going to undo that. I didn't love it. Let's see if generative fill does a better job. Okay, and I'm not going to type in anything. We're just going to hit generate because it understands what I'm trying to do. The AI kind of understands what you're trying to do. So we're just going to hit generative fill like that, let it run, and let's just see if it does a cleaner job. What I'm hoping is that it keeps the grain. So let's see. No, you know what? It still did it. The grain is there. It's better, but you can still see a blob there. Okay, so that's not perfect. But we know generative fill gives us 3 options. So let's check the next one. No, that looks worse. Okay, generative fill, you're failing. So that didn't do very good for any of them. Now, if that's the case, what you may have to explore is just doing it again. So we may leave it like this. Maybe I'll make a bigger selection like this. So you kind of have to play with this stuff. Let's just do a bigger selection and see if you could fix up this whole thing. Let's see. Something like, well, let's go right to the edge here. And you know what? Let's go back. Let's just do this whole section. Whoop. So this is super messy, but let's just see. Generative fill. Generate. Cross your fingers. I've got my fingers crossed. Come on, Photoshop. Ah, okay. Good. That's better. That I can handle. So now it's got three options. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. I think that this first one or second one, maybe the second one is the coolest, but that's way better. Okay. So I guess we learned something in this process that in that instance, a mega bigger in that instance, the bigger selection gave it way more information to work with. So that's fantastic, okay? Now, if we weren't 100% satisfied for any reason, do it again and see if the next three options work. So let's, for sake of argument, do it. We'll let it spit out three more for us. Let it run. And, oh, okay, let's see. No, you know what? We can go back to this one. And also, something to note is that you do get to go and see all previous options. Like you can just scroll back in time here and see all those other ones that it did. I like this first take here or this. No, I think this second one was my favorite. Remember, stuff like this is always subjective. You guys might not necessarily agree with the one I chose. I think this one worked the best. If something like this darker spot bugged me, I would do another generative fill here and work that side out as well. Now, let's just do one final example to finish off this video. Just for fun, let's get rid of this camera and see if it can swap it with something else. So to do that, let's go on a fresh layer actually. So I'm going to go down to this box on the bottom right here where it says create a new layer, and I'm going to click it. And now let's make a selection of the camera. Now, the only thing is we know that AI and fingers are still not the best, okay? So this is probably going to be quite hilarious. I bet there's going to be some AI finger issues happening. But let's hit Generative Fill, and maybe just for the sake of playing around, we could change this to, what could I be holding? What about a drink? Let's say a cup of coffee. And let's see what happens. What is Photoshop and AI going to do for us here? I'm going to assume the fingers are going to be horrific. Okay. Interesting. Let's take that away for a second. So if you watch on this part of my hand here at the bottom, it tried to add my fingers, but that's a weird little finger artifact there. Better than I expected on the top here. I mean, what is my thumb touching? It's kind of, I don't know if that really makes sense up there. But now we do get three options, so let's just see a few more. Whoa. Okay, that's not gonna work. AI, and oh my god, if you look at the fingers over here, yikes. Okay, that's AI alien fingers. Hilarious. Now what about this last option? No. Oh, what is going on? So, I mean, this stuff is hilarious to work on too. Sometimes I sit around with this stuff and my kids are watching and we're just killing ourselves laughing at some of these AI things. Um, Hilarious. So stuff like this, I don't think it's quite there yet. Photoshop and AI is going to need more time. Fingers are just not happening yet. But the main thing that's important is that you understand how generative fill works, how to get there, where it exists in the program, and then you decide what you're going to use it on in your own pictures, okay? So I'm going to delete that. Let's go back to my camera because this is freaking me out. And there we are, okay? So that's generative fill. I hope that helps, and you guys can take that and have fun with it.